Okay, here we go. I'm going to do a swing analysis here today of Michael Jordan. And, first thing I want to say is this guy's athletic ability was off the charts, so it's going to be interesting here looking at his swing. So we'll focus on his setup. We'll focus here on the left here first. When I look at his grip, his hands are pretty low here. His right hand's kind of even with his knees. When you look at his lower body, you can tell his knees are pointed in a little bit. And you can see that his feet are kind of splayed off a little bit. This is kind of an old school look. Knees close like this, feet out. You can see that he's kind of left eye dominant over the ball here a little bit. And when I draw these lines up, you can see he's kind of tilted in this position a little where he's not dead centered over the ball. Okay, or stacked centered over the ball, I should say, rather. Now over here on the right, you can see this is a lot of knee flexion. That way when I'm drawing this line from his chin, you can see that's almost touching his left knee there, and his hands are outside that line. Some other things we noticed is his left arm's above the right, left knee kind of out in front of the right, feet closed off a little, shoulders square, and then when you look at his club and ball position, his club head is inside the line of flight, or inside the golf ball there a little, so he's kind of starting off the toe. With his iron though, over here, you can see he's in front of the golf ball. So it's just different starting positions with different clubs. We'll focus here again on the left for a moment. Now before he starts, you can see he kind of shifts a little bit into his right side. See him kind of leaning over there. Now I'm just going to put a line on his head so we can measure it. So as he's going to the top, as you can see, he kind of stands up and off away from the ball. Right? Head's moving up and away. Now another thing that I noticed here, his head and chin are now turned kind of in this position. Now that's limiting his ability to make a full shoulder turn, or as good of a shoulder turn as he could. Now, as we arrive towards the top, so the club's in this position, if we measure his left hip at this moment, even though he's shifted off the ball a little, you can see he sets up the proper sequence as far as things begin to shift back into the left side, into the left foot, and the club itself now is on the downswing. So he's set up the proper sequence as far as his hands aren't going first, which that's good to see. As we continue with his body, he's starting to drive off his right side a little bit into the ball. He's trying to post up off this left leg, but you can see there's a lot of tilt here. Head's really behind the ball for an iron, and there's a lot of tilt for an iron. When you draw this line up off the left side, you see his shoulders well behind it here. Now let's go over to the right side for a moment and focus some things with his body. Now as he begins to draw back, I'm just going to put a circle around his pocket here. Now I want you to focus on his lower body as he arrives towards the top of his swing. Now you can see that that circle has only moved to about there as far as where his pocket went. So you can see his lower body is really not coiling and turning hardly much at all. Now another thing we're going to measure here is his shoulders. So if we look at his shoulder line at this moment, from right shoulder to left, right? 23, what do you know? What was his number? 23 degrees. But when we get to impact, that's going to drastically change. Look at his left shoulder to right shoulder relationship now. We're in the mid-50s. That's 30 degrees of change. A lot of that has to come with what you see here. See how he's tilting, right? See how the right shoulder's way lower like this. It kind of bumped out like that. That's why you're seeing that change in his shoulder angles. Okay, now let's focus on just his golf club. With an iron, it's good to see a little bit of forward press there, right? I think the camera angle's making that a little more drastic than it seems. Now, as we go back, staying in a relatively good one piece. It looks like he's trying to stay connected and turn with the club, so it's not all hands and arms. You can see that the club is off his left arm at this moment. So he's kept good width on it. He hasn't picked it up too soon at this moment. But as we get into here, things get a little odd, where the left arm's starting to slack off a little bit. Right arm's still on top, and it looks like he's kind of holding an umbrella at this moment, right? The club's really not hinging. It's still vertical. Over here, I noticed a drastic difference in the way he's swinging the club. So here, like we noticed, he's not really turning his lower body hardly at all, or his upper body for that matter. It's kind of just all hands and arms at this moment. And he's kind of rolling the club up and behind him. And how I know that is because his right arm is a lot lower than his left elbow at this moment, which is completely opposite to over here, where his right arm is higher than his left arm. So he's made a swing change from this swing on the left to the swing on the right. You can definitely tell. Now the one over here on the right, okay, where he's rolling the right elbow under, that's sending the club laid off behind him. Okay. Now as he comes back down into the ball, all right, I'm just going to kind of focus on his arm and club positions here. This is really good. I have to commend him on that. His right arm position is right into the hip, bent into a good position here. Left arm out in front in this position. Left hand looks to be relatively flat and somewhat pointed downward at that moment. It's hard to tell because it's blurry. But his arm positions look pretty good there. Arm positions look extended through the ball. Alright, as we get to the top, again, he's kind of letting the club float a little. That good sequence we were talking about earlier with the left side, that's allowing the club to set properly, right? And that's why he's able to hold some good lag here. He has set up a proper sequence as far as his transition. Okay, so he has good lag on the club at that moment, right? It's good to see over here on the left, you know, hand still in front of the ball, club still behind the golf ball, so things haven't released too early. And over here he's getting a decent release. Arms aren't bunching up too much, they haven't released completely clean, but overall it's pretty good. Okay, that's MJ. You know, we know this guy is one of the most talented athletes we've ever seen. We know he loves the game of golf, so knowing his determination, I'm sure he can get as good as he wants to. But it's been fun looking at his swing, and you all have a good day now. Thank you.